Welcome back to Lone Star Varsity, everybody. George Watson with the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal here, and we're going to break down the area round of the high school football playoffs, and we'll start in Class 4A, where it is the Friendship Tigers going west to El Paso, taking on El Paso Chapin. El Paso Chapin 9-2, probably the best team out of the El Paso area in terms of 4A. But here's the kicker: Friendship, finally putting things together. And in the last 10 years, Friendship has been in the area around 9 times, and they are a perfect 9-0 against about 7 different El Paso teams. Now, they haven't ever faced Chapin in this round, but they have had success in this round, and this is where tradition really pays off for Friendship, and it's going to have to pay off this week. Friendship, like I said, got its best game of the year last week, beating Paladuro. All-around good game, offensively, defensively. Offensively, getting another big game from sophomore running back Bobby Huey. Had 183 yards and 3 touchdowns. They're going to need that kind of effort this week to beat Chapin. Chapin has got some offensive weapons of its own. Quarterback Anthony Campazano has thrown for about 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. They've got a solid running game with a 1,000-yard rusher and a solid passing game as well. So Friendship is really going to have to be on its best game this week, going over to El Paso. That's 5 o'clock Central Time on Saturday at Irvin Stadium, the Memorial Stadium there in El Paso. Our second game we're going to look at, Class 3A, Seminole taking on Brownwood. Seminole with a big win over Clint last week, 55-7. Got a big performance out of a lot of different people, and now they go into Brownwood. And Brownwood, we know, has a couple of big stars in wide receiver Jackson Shipley, who is the brother of Texas wide receiver Jordan Shipley. Jackson, I believe, is also a commitment to University of Texas. And, of course, Brownwood's coach is Bob Shipley, the two kids' father. So Seminole, is going to have another big game. They've been led all year by, some solid balance up and down the lineup offensively. They'll need another big game from Tevin Reed. Looks like it should be a big battle at Angelo Stadium on Friday night, 7:30 down there in San Angelo. Now we get to maybe one of the surprise games in terms of matchups in 2A. I think we were all kind of looking forward when the brackets were made in 2A and looking at Muleshoe versus Seminole, but River Road kind of spoiled that party. The Wildcats in the playoffs for the first time since 1999 and looking to get past the area round for the first time since 1996, but they run into a very solid Littlefield ball club that is getting it done with a lot of depth and getting it done from a lot of different people. Talked to Brian Huseman this week. Looks like Patrick Barrio, their outstanding running back, is probably going to be a game-time decision with that knee injury he suffered a couple weeks ago. They don't know if he's going to go, but they have been getting solid production out of guys like Will McDowell, out of Thomas Cheeto Richardson, and they've got good balance with Tracy Huseman in the passing game, and then, of course, they've got that very good, solid defense. So look for maybe a low-scoring game, maybe a quick game running the football as well with Littlefield up there 7:30 Friday night at Greg Sherwood Memorial Bulldog Stadium in Plainview. Fourth game we come to today is also in 2A down in Division II. Post, coming off one of its best seasons in recent history. Congratulations, Post. You get the number 2 team in the state of Texas in the Bushland Falcons. And the Bushland Falcons, I'm telling you, look like a team on a mission. Everybody's always asked me this year, what is Bushland like? What does Bushland have? Well, I'll tell you what Bushland has. Bushland has an outstanding quarterback named Sawyer Cornelius. Sawyer Cornelius has thrown for almost 3,500 yards and 48 touchdowns. He's putting the same assault on the record books as far as touchdown passes in a single season that guys like Wes Wood and Scotty Young at Denton Ryan did last year in chasing Graham Harrell's old record. And so Post has got its work cut out for it going up against a Bushland team that's, the school's only a few years old, but people ask me, what is Bushland like? I'll say, well, Bushland this year is basically what Muleshoe was last year. They look like they're on a mission. They have all the tools out there. Post is going to have to play some outstanding defense, but I tell you, their best chance could be with their running game. You got you got the running back in Giles Dalby. You've got quarterback Clint Wyndham. They present a formidable rushing foe. If they can keep the ball, drive, eat some time off the clock, get some points, kind of like they did against Littlefield a couple weeks ago, then I think Post has got a good shot at winning this game. All right, now moving down to Class 1A, we begin in Division 1 where the Olton Mustangs, one of the surprise teams I think in the South Plains this year in the way they've come along under Coach Joel Baker. Now they go into the area round after their victory. They take on a Stanton team that was pretty competitive in that District 7-1A with Plains and with Sundown, finished second in that district. And we all know what Olton is going to bring. They're going going to bring a high-power offense. Even talking Saturday with people up at Friendship who were in the press box for Olton's by-district game, they were very impressed not only offensively and defensively with Bobby Wayne Workman, the outstanding quarterback and cornerback for Olton. Bobby Wayne Workman had 374 yards through the air last week, 2 touchdowns, also ran for a couple of touchdowns. So we know that Olton will go through the air and they'll get that high-powered offense in gear. If they do so, then I think it's going to be a long night for Stanton. Olton is looking very good at this point in the season. Now we come to the 1A game that has a little bit of contrast in styles. You got Spring Lake Earth and Seagraves. When you talk about Seagraves, there's only one thing to know about Seagraves. They're going to run it on first down. They're going to run it on second down. They're going to run it on third down. And then they might, if you challenge them, they might run it on fourth down too. They do an outstanding job running the football. They've only, I think, maybe have 100 yards all season throwing the football. So they are very ground-oriented, averaging almost 400 yards a game on the ground. Spring Lake Earth, on the other hand, has shown some good balance with Blake Betts at quarterback. He's thrown for about 1,600 yards, and then they've got several weapons in the running game and in the passing game that can carry the ball as well. Several guys with about 800-900 yards in the rushing game. So I think it's going to be a battle of Spring Lake's balance, and if they can stop Seagraves defensively, which only one team has been able to do that this year, and we'll get to that team in a minute. But if Seagraves can run the ball, if they can establish that running game, it's going to be a long night for Spring Lake Earth. But if Spring Lake Earth can get some defense and then get their offense going in gear, that should be an outstanding football game down there at Tiger Stadium, 7:30 Friday night in Wolford. Now we come to that one team that actually beat Seagraves this year, and that is the New Deal Lions. And when you talk about New Deal, when you talk about this area round game right now, you're talking about a little bit of revenge, because when they go up against the Ira Ann Braves team that ousted New Deal in the area round last year 37-7 and did it pretty handily. Reading some things this week, Ira Ann looks pretty confident that they can come out and stop New Deal again. However, we've been hearing all year from Coach Ron Mayo at New Deal that this is a different team. This is a more together team, that the chemistry is better, very unselfish team. Well, we're going to see how unselfish they are against Ira Ann, because Ira Ann is going to be very physical and have an outstanding offense. The key here could be the return of quarterback Stephen Bryant. Stephen has been out for a couple games with a shoulder injury. He suited up last week in their win over Farwell, but didn't play, and I think that was probably the right move. They were able to handle Farwell pretty easily, one going away in that game, even though they had some turnovers. And I look for Stephen Bryant to come back in. The pledge to TCU not only plays quarterback, but he plays in the secondary as well. So he's a very hard hitter, a very aggressive kid, very good football player, about 6'4", about 200 pounds. So he's going to be a menace out there for Ira Ann this year, and I'm sure they're going to be motivated. If he plays, I think it makes a big difference. We'll see how New Deal can handle that on Friday night out there at Wigwam Stadium in Seminole. And finally, we come to our final game. We're going to go down to the 6-man ranks this week, and it's going to be one of the better rivalries that has developed in the South Plains in recent years, the Meadow Broncos and the Valley Patriots. You say Broncos and Patriots, sounds like a great AFC championship game, but this is going to be 6-man, and it's going to be two contrasting styles. You got Valley, which is very pass-oriented. They're going to throw the football. They're going to spread it out and do what most 6-man teams do. But then you've got Meadow, and Meadow is very run-oriented with Rico Rocha, and the outstanding running back that we all know about, has over about 2,000 yards this year. I think he's probably finished with about 10,000, seems like, in his career. I'm sure it's not that much, but it just seems like it, for the Meadow Broncos. So if they get Rico Rocha going, it's going to be a good night for Meadow. Here's the deal. This is a game, these two teams have met 3 times, or this will be the 3rd time in the past 2 years that these teams have met. Met last year in this round, in the area round, and Meadow won going away 97-60. Got a lot of points in a big game. But most of these games with these two teams have been low scoring, like it was in week 4 this year when Valley won 36-30. So it'll be interesting to see if offense rules the day or if defense is going to rule the day in this 6-man game. That's a rundown for this week. Come back next week and we'll get you caught up on all the teams that survived this week and their matchups next week. For the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal and for LoneStarVarsity.com, I'm George Watson. We'll see you at the game.